In this video series, we are pleased to introduce some of the writings of Dion Fortune to you. This video is about the 8th chapter, Divination, Its Use and Limits, from Practical Occultism in Daily Life, in which Dion Fortune writes about a sound and serious application of divination from the perspective of the Western mysteries. She discusses the tarot and astrology and explains how subtle influences can affect our undertakings and how important it is to be critical of unasked for as well as subjective clairvoyant intuitions. Brotherhood of the Eternal Light, Teaching the Western Mysteries.
Divination is really a spiritual diagnosis whereby we try to discover what subtle influences are at work in our affairs. It can be exceedingly helpful if rightly done, but it can be exceedingly harmful if improperly done because of the depressing suggestion and sowing of unwarranted suspicion to which it can give rise. A divination should be regarded as a weather vane which shows which way the winds of the invisible forces are blowing. But it should always be remembered that a weather vane is not meant to determine the course that a ship is to take. It merely indicates how best to trim the sails. There are two types of divination, one of which is purely psychic, relying upon vision or communication from spirits and employing at most a crystal or a pool of ink to aid vision. The other type makes use of a set of arbitrary symbols, such as playing cards or the prick figures of geomancy, and reads the significance of the chance dealing of these according to a definite code, thus considerably reducing but by no means eliminating the personal factor. Anyone with practical experience of seership knows that to try to obtain enlightenment by psychic means concerning any matter in which one has a strong emotional bias is seldom satisfactory, for the bias vitiates the results to such a degree that they may prove most misleading. It is well known that no seer can scry for himself in any matter in which he himself is intimately concerned. This is even true when resort is had to another psychic, for the strong emotion in the mind of the querent is very apt to influence the psychic unconsciously, so that the results obtained may either be colored by desire or, if the influence is unconsciously resisted, may lean to the other extreme. The best thing to do under such circumstances is to employ one of the methods of divination in which the symbols employed are shaken together and dealt out by chance. Of these, the tarot is far and away the best, because much of the most subtle and comprehensive, and those who possess the higher understanding can obtain an insight into the spiritual factors in the case under investigation. To use the tarot properly, however, requires a very great deal of preparation, and the preparation does not consist merely in a knowledge of the significance of the cards, but in getting in touch with the forces behind the cards. An adequate rule of thumb use of it, however, can be made by any sincere person for himself, though it is doubtful if he could use it satisfactorily for anyone else. Obtain a new pack of tarot cards, for a used one will be too full of other people's magnetism to be reliable, and carry them on the person, and sleep with them under the pillow, and handle them and ponder upon the meaning of the pictures in the light of what the book of instructions has to say about them, until the significance of each picture is realized. It does not matter greatly which pack is used, whether the quaint, hideous, archaic ones, or the very beautiful ones redrawn in recent times for Mr. A. E. Waite. It is not the details of the card that matter, but they should serve as reminders, as it were, of the ideas underlying them. As soon as one perceives some sort of significance in the picture on a card, one has made a link with that card, and its appearance in the divination will mean something. Having got in touch with one's chosen pack, the next thing is to lay out a divination according to whatever system is chosen. Work it out according to the book, and note down the results obtained and the position in which the cards fell. Repeat the process a second time and a third time, upon each occasion keeping accurate notes of the fall of the cards, and, of course, thoroughly shuffling the cards between each layout. If certain cards keep on coming up, and especially if they come up in approximately the same positions, or even if cards of the same type predominate through the 3 divinations, it may safely be concluded that the system is working satisfactorily, and a divination may be made on the basis of the recurring cards. But if the 3 divinations bear no resemblance to each other, if even the balance of the 4 suits does not remain constant for at least 2 out of the 3, and if none of the greater trumps turn up more than once, then it must be concluded that the tarot is not working for the diviner, and the divination should be abandoned. The same principles apply if divinations are done with ordinary playing cards, though this method is not nearly so sensitive and comprehensive as tarot divinations. Divination is a thing that cannot be learnt out of books, but builds up gradually as a system of associated ideas in the mind of the operator. Moreover, one varies very much in one's capacity for divination. Upon one occasion, one may be absolutely inspired. The cards recur and recur, and one reads with the most extraordinary insight, one thing leading to another in an endless train. At another time, one may have to spell out the meaning of the layout with reference to the book for almost every card. It will always be found that it is useless to force a divination. If the interpretation does not leap spontaneously to the mind, it is unlikely to contain much insight. Far better results can be obtained in this way than by going to dubious professionals. The only person who can do better for one than one can do for oneself is an initiate who has specialized in the tarot. These, however, will never do the work for a fee, and therefore it is only under special circumstances that one can obtain such a reading. All visions and voices that are heard when one is under strain should be highly suspect, for even if they spoke the truth, they would be unwholesome symptoms, indicating that the mind is tending to come apart, to dissociate under the strain. Every experienced occultist always closes down all supernormal faculties when conditions are adverse, because he knows that the still small voice is never heard in the thunder or the whirlwind, but only in the silence. The higher contacts give a sense of power, of protection, of peace. They do not speak with voices. It can never be said too often that whenever the unseen becomes visible to the physical eye or audible to the physical ear, something is going wrong with the works, for the planes are leaking the one into the other, and unless the leakage can be stopped, mental unbalance will result. Even to see with the inner eye and hear with the inner ear, realizing all the time that the impressions are subjective, needs caution. The greatest safeguard we can have in the use of any psychic powers we may possess is to understand the psychology of them, and keep constantly in mind the fact that what we are perceiving is not the thing itself, but a dreamlike cartoon of it that is being dramatized by our subconscious minds. The further we advance in our spiritual development, the less difference will there be between the operation of our higher consciousness and our normal mentality. Seership is an illuminated state of the normal mind in which discernment is raised to a very high degree. The more primitive and unevolved the nature, the more startling and abnormal the phenomena. The problem of the horoscope is a very perplexing one. A horoscope can be a very great help. It can also be a most pernicious influence, full of poisonous suggestions. Everything depends upon the wisdom and spiritual quality of the astrologer. The right kind of astrologer can be as helpful as the right kind of priest. Let it be remembered, however, that the professional advertising astrologer is obliged to do an enormous amount of hack work, and it is almost impossible for him to keep his spiritual virginity. Moreover, no well-known astrologer with a large practice can do personally all the horoscopes he receives. The work is farmed out. You are more likely to receive good value from a friend who is studying astrology for its own sake than from the professional who is grinding out horoscopes all day long for a living, and who may be at the third or fourth remove from the celebrity to whom you sent your guinea. Professional occultism, which is a branch of the very basis of the spiritual sciences, is a sordid and unsatisfactory business, which blesses neither those who do it nor those who have it done. I have never seen anything but harm come from running round from one soothsayer to another, nor anyone who made a living out of it and kept their spiritual powers unimpaired.
Violet Mary Firth, also known as Dion Fortune, was an important British occultist, ceremonial magician, and author. The Brotherhood of the Eternal Light is in direct lineage with the tradition of Dion Fortune and recognizes her as a spiritual ancestor. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. We will create a video to answer your questions after this video series. Would you be interested in us commenting on the writings of Dion Fortune and explaining in more detail her teachings in spiritual philosophy? If so, let us know in the comments. Visit our free online course on Western mysteries and Kabbalah or our live events on these topics. And if you haven't already done so, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you soon in our next video.